Hello everyone, today we are breaking down Season 2, Episode 8, Family of The Witcher. I just want to say thank you to all the people who have stuck around to watch my videos. I know I take forever to make them. This isn't my full-time thing, I do this for fun, but if you have any suggestions on the series I should do next, leave it down in the comments below, and once again, thank you. But without further ado, let's get started. The first thing we see is that Ciri is back at Cintra and is awoken by Mousak. Mousak was a druid and was in the service of Queen Calanthe, her grandmother. He was like an uncle to Ciri, but he died in Season 1. If you remember the ending of the last episode, Ciri's body was taken over by Volithmir, so what Ciri is seeing is just a dream, while Volithmir controls the conscious side. We then see the conscious Ciri controlled by Volithmir walking the halls of Kaer. She walks into the armory and sees the knife she used to kill one of the first Witchers. Remember earlier in the season, Vesemir told the story of how the first Witchers entrapped a demon in a hut and one of them was killed with that dagger. We now return to Geralt and Yennefer is chasing after him. They are just outside of Kaer where Ciri and the rest of the Witchers are. Where they got those horses, I do not know. Also, Geralt must have unlocked some fast travel options because I have no idea how they are getting to these places so quickly. If you've played the games, you know how long it takes to travel just by horse. The continent is really big, but if you have just watched the show, you might not know how big it is because it feels like everything is right next to everything. Geralt wants nothing to do with Yennefer, she betrayed him and Ciri. Yennefer tells him that yes, Volithmir feeds on pain, but it is more specific than that. She finds your weakness, the thing that makes you feel hopeless, and uses it to get you to do anything, to make that feeling go away. Geralt retorts, saying like sacrificing an innocent girl. Yennefer says she couldn't do it though, because of how special Ciri is. She radiates with chaos. She goes on to say how wonderful it was to help Ciri use her chaos, and that they have to protect her from Volithmir. So Yennefer has changed her tune. She no longer cares about regaining her chaos, but only helping Ciri. This could be her new purpose. We return to Ciri and she is standing over one of the Witchers as he sleeps. She slits his throat with a dagger. Volithmir was trapped by the Witchers, so she is getting her revenge by killing them, even though the Witchers who trapped her died long ago. Her eyes turn neon green as she watches him die. This shows how she is feeding off his pain. She's about to murder Vesemir when Geralt and Yennefer barge in. Volithmir, as Ciri, says that a woman in a black robe is wandering the halls. Yennefer and Vesemir believe Ciri and are ready to look for Volithmir, but Geralt questions Ciri some more, asking how she was able to escape. Ciri said she screamed. Geralt knew this could not be the case, cause it didn't wake Vesemir, nor did it cause any damage to the keep. He then sees the blood on Ciri's cheek, but not of her own. He then asks, "What do you want?" So he knows Volithmir has taken over Ciri's body. Ciri slices Geralt's face and runs out of the room. There are even fewer Witchers left now. Vesemir, Lambert, and Cohen are looking over the dead bodies. Vesemir potions up and tells the others to do the same because they do not know how powerful possessed Ciri can be. Potions can enhance strength and speed. Vesemir is going to hunt Ciri now. He wants to kill her for the damage she has done, and he believes it is the only way to stop Volithmir. Geralt convinces him Ciri is strong enough to survive this, that if they work together they can get Volithmir out of Ciri and trap her once again. Vesemir is reluctant but is willing to try Geralt's way. Yennefer overhears this. Geralt walks by her without saying anything, still mad at her. Yennefer goes and finds Jaskier. He is still sleeping soundly in his room. Yennefer says she needs his help and to get up. Jaskier then says, "The last time I woke up next to you, you grabbed me by the balls and then blew up the building." This refers to last season's episode 5 where Geralt and Yennefer met for the first time because of a djinn who hurt Jaskier's vocal cords. Since no one else is willing to help Yennefer, she has to settle for the bard. We are now at Cintra with Dara, who is admitting to being a spy for Redania, to Filavandrel and FRANCESCA, who just lost their baby last night. He tells them how DIJKSTRA, who hired him as a spy, said they did not need him anymore, that they had other ways of getting Ciri. Filavandrel still doesn't understand why they would target their elven baby. Dara says maybe because we aligned with Nilfgaard. FRANCESCA says because they are elves, that they hate us. That's why the elves started this rebellion, because of how they have been mistreated over the many centuries. FRANCESCA tells Dara to gather some horses, and her face is one of anger and determination. I'm fine with them believing this is Redania's doing, but to completely rule out Nilfgaard is kind of weird. You just broke an alliance with them because of that babe. They at least have a motive for killing the child. Redania has none. It doesn't serve any purpose for them. We return to Yennefer and Jaskier. They are in the lab of Kaer Morhen. Yennefer is going to create some kind of potion bomb thing to separate Volithmir from Ciri. She tells Jaskier to give Geralt this red stone. It is Jasper. All that is said about it is that it is a provider of warmth, energy, and balance. Yennefer also tells Jaskier to tell Geralt that it helps turn wrongs into rights, that he will understand. I'm not sure what Jasper does, it's not in the games nor books, and I don't remember it ever being mentioned before. We are now in the main hall. Possessed Ciri is standing in front of the memorial tree. The memorial tree is where they hang the medallions of the Witchers who have fallen. We now head into Ciri's mind, where she is at a ball at Cintra. Ciri meets her grandmother, Queen Calanthe, who is upset with her for being late. Ciri is ecstatic about seeing her, almost starts to cry because of how happy she is. Remember, Ciri's life has sucked since the sacking of Cintra. In this dream of hers, she's a princess again, surrounded by loved ones, and does not have to worry about monsters or elder blood. Morhen asks Ciri for a dance. She says she would love to. This is a reference to the first episode of Season 1, where Morhen did the exact same thing, but this time Ciri happily accepted. We return to the real world Cintra, and Fringilla wants to speak to Kaer. Fringilla lets him know how some of the elves have left on stolen horses, heading north, and Filavandrel and FRANCESCA were amongst them. Kaer suspects the reason is to hunt down the murderer of their child. He believes Redania, since all signs point to them, which I disagree, but whatever. Fringilla is hurt by this, that she could have offered support to them, that she is her friend. Kaer believes this was not the case, that in reality she was just the key to Fringilla's plan to show that she was a valuable leader to Emhyr, so to impress the Emperor. Kaer then goes on to say how the babe's assassination was also part of Fringilla's plan, because beforehand the baby gave a reason for the elves not to fight and die in someone else's war, but now they are attacking Nilfgaard's enemies. Fringilla says she would never do that, but Kaer pretty much says, do you want to impress Emhyr or not? This looks better as if it was planned rather than it looking like they defected from us. We return to Kaer Morhen, and the Witchers are gearing up for battle, drinking elixirs and grabbing weapons. They then start searching the keep for her. Geralt finds her in front of the medallion tree. The rest of the Witchers come in as well into the main hall. Geralt wants to know the price of getting Ciri back. He even offers himself up for her. Possessed Ciri says that is enticing since they could create so much pain together, but it is too late. So it seems that Volithmir has gathered enough pain from killing those other Witchers. Jaskier comes barging in to give Geralt the Jasper. He realizes what a mistake that was when he sees Ciri and all the other Witchers with their swords drawn, so he decides to hide in a corner. Possessed Ciri starts to scream and she splits the memorial tree in half, revealing a monolith was inside the whole time. If you remember a couple episodes back when Ciri and Triss were inside Ciri's mind to find out who she is, Ciri started to scream for Geralt, and Geralt, being at the monolith near Cintra, heard her and saw a portal open up. We saw the memorial tree shaking before we got to Cintra. So that is why, because it was a monolith that Ciri activated, and through the monolith conduit system carried her voice to Geralt. It also seems that Volithmir knows how to control Ciri's powers, which is bad news for the Witchers. Volithmir breaks the monolith, sending stellicites towards the Witchers, so like a bunch of sharp knives. Some die because of this. Geralt and some of the others are able to use the Sign of QUEN to protect themselves. Signs are simple spells all Witchers know how to do. QUEN is a protective shield they can form. The stellicites then form into a portal behind her. Then two basilisks come out behind her. None of the Witchers have seen this type before, so like the other monsters that have come out of the monolith portals. Remember, monoliths are gateways to different worlds, so there are going to be slight variations to the creatures they are used to on this continent. Basilisks are part of the Dracnoid species, and they have the strongest known venom known to man. They usually have wings and can fly, but as Lambert pointed out, they have never seen this type before, so there are going to be variations. In the books, they say basilisks are the king of all serpents, and if you look at them, they kind of look snake-like. As Lambert, Cohen, and some of the other no-name Witchers deal with the basilisks, Geralt and Vesemir run towards Ciri. Vesemir and another no-name Witcher use the sign YRDEN around possessed Ciri and Geralt. YRDEN is a sign that can block monsters from getting closer. We did see this sign be used in the Striga episode last season, but here they are using it like a bubble that Volithmir cannot escape. Geralt wants to know what Volithmir wants from Ciri. She says that Ciri is the future and that Geralt is in her way. So Ciri is very powerful and people want her because of her power. Volithmir and Geralt start having a 1v1 in the bubble. Geralt calls out to Ciri hoping she hears him and is able to fight Volithmir off and regain control. Jaskier is still in the room very upset with Yennefer's plan. He is currently hiding under a table. One of the no-name Witchers dies from the basilisk. We see Volithmir's eyes grow green again, feeding off the pain. Vesemir tells the other Witcher who is helping with YRDEN to go help Lambert and Cohen fight the monsters. Vesemir also leaves to join them, not wanting any other Witchers to die as well. Vesemir uses the sign of Ard on one of the basilisks. Ard is a sign, it is a telekinetic thrust that can push opponents back. Jaskier is still under the table, scooching closer to Geralt, trying to give him the Jasper. Vesemir sees another dead Witcher and is done with this. He's going to try and kill possessed Ciri. Geralt is able to block his attack using QUEN. Volithmir is now talking to Ciri, telling her she doesn't need Geralt anymore. Geralt is then telling Ciri to stay strong, not to give up. We then return to Ciri in her dream world. She is now dancing with Mousak. Ciri wants to talk about her bloodline, where she comes from, which has been a question Ciri has had all season now. Mousak says the women who came before her were quite extraordinary. Then Geralt's voice cuts in, telling her to stay strong. The dream starts to shake as if it is falling apart. Mousak becomes the Doppler who Ciri saw last season trying to impersonate Mousak. Dopplers are creatures who can shapeshift into anyone or beast they have encountered. The dream regains stability. Ciri, I think, realizes this is a dream, but she wants to take this opportunity to ask about why no one ever told her what she is and is capable of. So she asks Mousak about it. Mousak brushes this off, so he is avoiding the question. Because this is a dream created by Volithmir, she doesn't know why they didn't say anything, so none of the projections will either. Mousak believes Ciri is sick and says that her father will be disappointed he won't get a dance. So in this dream world, her parents are still alive, Duny and Pavetta. So Ciri gets distracted by this enticing dream once again. We are now at Redania and we see a baby crying. They believe something is wrong with the child. We then see a burning brand on the baby's chest. We then see that the door has been marked by the same brand. So it seems that FRANCESCA is casting spells on the babies of Redania and is causing them this pain. She wants revenge for the death of her baby. She then kills the babies. It is not known how many. So they left Sintra that morning on horseback and arrived at Redania. They would have to cross the kingdom of Temeria just to get to Redania. You can't make that trip in a day. So I don't know if this takes place on a different day or what. Also, a group of elves traveling the streets of what I'm guessing is Novigrad would be very difficult since all the elves have been detained in the northern kingdoms, and I would assume someone would have been alerted to their presence. We return to Volithmir. She is feeding off the pain and suffering of the mothers who have just lost their babies because of FRANCESCA. Ciri opens another portal and lets another even bigger basilisk through, which charges Geralt. Geralt and the monster fight on the bridge 1v1. The basilisk has Geralt pinned and it shows its fangs, and some of the venom falls onto Geralt and it burns his armor. As I said, it is the most toxic venom known to man. Geralt uses the sign of Igni to get the monster off him. Igni is the fire one, it is a pyrokinetic burst that ignites opponents. Geralt stabs the creature through the mouth. He then slices its head open and knocks the creature down to the courtyard, killing it. Yennefer meets Geralt and tells him that she has made a potion to extract Volithmir from Ciri. Geralt and Yennefer head back into the main hall. Vesemir is walking towards the possessed Ciri with a dagger in hand and stabs Ciri in the gut. Geralt grabs him, saying, "If you kill Volithmir, you kill Ciri." Volethmir is able to heal herself. Cohen and Lambert kill the remaining basilisks in the background. Volethmir says how the Witchers feel everything, especially hate. It has been said so many times that Witchers have no emotions, but we all know that is not true. Geralt sees the Jasper and says it gives the courage to rectify wrongs. He then realizes that Volethmir is feeding off their hate, their pain, and that is how she's growing stronger. Geralt once again tries talking to Ciri, telling her to come home. Volethmir looks worried, and it seems Geralt might have figured it out. We return to Ciri in her dream world meeting her parents. She has a heartfelt reunion saying how she missed them. Ciri then hears Geralt telling her to come home. The dream starts to break down again. Voleth says that Ciri doesn't want to be with you, she wants to stay in the dreamlike world. Cohen and Vesemir start chiming in as well, telling her to come home. Vivetta tells Ciri to be with them. So Ciri has a decision to make, stay with her old family and live in this dream, or go to her new family, the Witchers. Ciri decides to stay with her parents. Geralt then realizes Ciri cannot escape, that Voleth needs a vessel to live within this sphere, since her hut burned down, so she can't be removed from Ciri unless there is a vessel. Yennefer decides to make the sacrifice and be the vessel. She slits both of her wrists and says something in Elder speech, summoning Volethmir. Volethmir is frightened by this, so this must work, I guess? I don't know, this whole end part is a little strange to me. Volethmir starts to leave Ciri. Volethmir makes one more attempt with Ciri's parents to try and convince her to stay, but Ciri hears Geralt clearly now and goes to her new family, Geralt and the Witchers. Volethmir has left Ciri now completely and has entered Yennefer. Volethmir really has no power since Yennefer lost her magic. Geralt tells Ciri to open a portal. They are going to send Volethmir back to where she came from. Ciri opens a portal and her, Yennefer, and Geralt get sucked through. They are now on that red world that Ciri saw earlier in the season when Triss was looking through her mind. We see Volethmir leaving Yennefer's body as well, since this is a sphere where she needs no vessel. We then see she is actually a Red Rider, which is led by the Wild Hunt. Most common folk believe the Wild Hunt is a wraith and is an omen of war, and he and his riders ride across the sky on their horses. But we see that may not be the case. The Wild Hunt speaks to Ciri, saying, "Child of Elderblood, starry-eyed daughter of chaos, join our hunt. Your place is among us. You are ours." Ciri is able to portal Geralt, Yennefer, and herself back to Kaer Morhen before the Wild Hunt is able to grab her. Yennefer heals Cohen and Lambert of their wounds. It seems her chaos has returned to her. Geralt tells Vesemir that he saw the Wild Hunt, that he and Ciri cannot stay here, that they need to keep moving. She is clearly marked for something. Also, if the mages and the other kingdoms find out she's alive, they won't stop coming for her because of the power she possesses and her title. We now find ourselves with Tissaia and some of the other kings and queens of the northern kingdoms. They are of course talking about how Ciri is still alive. If you remember, Tissaia saw Ciri in the first episode this season with Geralt, so she knows she is with a Witcher. The reason why she is bringing this to the attention of the other monarchs is because of DIJKSTRA, who came to the Brotherhood looking to see if they knew anything about Ciri being alive. King Foltest, who we saw in Season 1, figures DIJKSTRA's plan is to find Ciri and marry her to King Vesemir, so Redania then would have a claim to Cintra, making them easily the most powerful kingdom on the continent. The council decides to put a bounty on Ciri's head and anyone that protects her. So this is different from the books. I don't believe there was ever a bounty on her head to kill her. Don't get me wrong, the northern kingdoms did want to find her since she is the rightful heir to Cintra, to marry her off, but not kill her. At least, I don't believe so. We now find ourselves with RIENCE and Lydia. He finally gets to meet her employer, though we don't get to see his face. RIENCE believes this is the perfect time to get the girl since the continent will soon be in chaos. We now see what happened to Lydia's face. It is all deformed now after she tried that tracing spell last episode. This does happen in the books, though. It is an ancient artifact that does it. She also uses an illusion to cover up the deformity, which I'm sure we will see next season. We now find ourselves with the elves discussing what they should do. Some of them want to go back to Cintra before the retaliation from Dania. FRANCESCA has no interest in that. She wants to fight not just for her babe, but for how the elves have been mistreated for centuries. We then see Istred, who has found the group. He has always been an elf sympathizer. They're almost going to kill him when he says how Ciri is Henekea, which means she has elder blood. FRANCESCA tells them to stop. When hearing this, Istredd says she is like an elf, but also different, so much more powerful. FRANCESCA believes she is the one Ithne prophesied and how she could save them, the elves. Ithne's prophecy is about the end of the world and how the world will be reborn of the elder blood. The owl that is always around Dijkstra overhears this and reports back to him about how it seems everyone knows about Ciri being alive. We also find out the owl is actually a mage, PHILIPPA EILHART. She is one of the few mages that can polymorph, which is to transform into an animal. Her and Dijkstra also happen to be lovers. Dijkstra tells her to bring him the bard. It is about time he paid back his benefactor. So it seems it was Dijkstra who was helping Jaskier getting elves out of Redania for a high-level IQ play to get to Ciri. We now are back at Kaer Morhen with Yennefer and Geralt. Yennefer says she felt her chaos come back to her after she made her sacrifice for Ciri, which I guess this isn't in the books, but a sacrifice did bring her powers back, so in a way, Volethmir was right. Geralt still does not forgive Yennefer for what she did, how she betrayed his trust, but he wants her to train Ciri, that she has been the only one who has helped her control her powers. Geralt then mentions the dragon hunt, how villain Trent Merith told them that they were made for each other, destined for one another. But destiny alone isn't sufficient, something more is needed. Ciri is that more, so in a way Geralt is saying this could be our family. Ciri can be like our daughter. They meet Ciri overlooking the horizon. She says how she's so tired. Geralt says life goes on, that us three will help each other, that destiny cannot be avoided. Geralt knows this better than most. Geralt believes that he knows what Volethmir wanted from Ciri. He says they always believed she was from another sphere. They then go into how the monoliths are like gateways to other spheres. Ciri realizes that her scream actually woke Volethmir. That is why she wanted her, because she wanted to go home. This is what we saw throughout the season. The monsters never seemed like they wanted to hurt Ciri. They just wanted her to open a portal for them to go home. What Geralt can't figure out is how Nilfgaard knew about Ciri's power before anyone else did. We are now at Cintra, and we see Emperor Emhyr has arrived and is talking to Kaer and Fringilla. Fringilla is talking about the elves who are already fighting in the north for them, FRANCESCA's group. They also say how they are also pursuing the Ciri. This is true, but Fringilla doesn't know that. Kaer and Fringilla then go on and say how they killed their elven baby, and how they laid the blame on Redanian so the elves would want revenge, giving them a reason to fight. Emhyr then says he can't rely on these two anymore, that he was the one who ordered the death of the elven baby, because it helped him on his path of finding Ciri, his daughter. So this is Duny, Ciri's father. He must have survived the shipwreck all those years ago. He then orders Kaer and Fringilla to be taken away for lying to him. So there is a lot to unpack here. Ciri has a lot of people after her. The elves, to her father, to other kingdoms, to the Wild Hunt. Also, her father has been Emhyr this entire time, which leads to the question of why he attacked his mother-in-law, Queen Calanthe. I'm on book 6 and it is yet to be explained. They haven't even mentioned that Emhyr is her father yet, but I'm sure there's a reason behind it. I'm not sure how certain events in the books are going to happen now. This season was based on the blood of elves, but some things like Jaskier meaning Dijkstra happen in this book. So some of the next season will be based on blood of elves, but also the next book, Time of Contempt. I'm curious to see how they do it. So what do you think of episode 8 of The Witcher? Leave it down in the comments below. And if you want more Witcher content, please subscribe and like the video. Also check out the Twitter link in the description below. And as always, have an awesome day.